80-year-old Hae Suk, a dangerous loan shark to the people in her neighborhood, was, however, a very sweet wife to her husband, Nok Jun, who was unable to walk after a terrible accident. Hae Suk lovingly came back, cooked Nok Jun's favorite meal to make him happy, and when it was time for his drugs, he pretended to be asleep and told her he didn't want to take them anymore, preferring instead to die a peaceful death and allow her to experience her life after he was gone. He promised her they would meet in heaven, and she broke down in tears. The next day, she went to collect her money from a debtor who had recently died. His daughter was so angry that the old woman had come to collect money while they were mourning her father and shouted at Hae Suk, who calmly collected her payment and left the house. One day, Hae Suk had a nightmare that she went to hellfire and became scared that she might end up there as a bad person. Hae Suk was so scared that she went to Nok Jun's room that night in order not to be alone. In the morning, a woman came to Hae Suk's house with a carton of orange juice and begged Hae Suk to put her into the business of debt collection. Hae Suk politely refused, stating that such a business should be a last resort for anyone, just as it was for her. Hae Suk poured back the orange juice and said, "If you can afford a gift, you can afford a different business." Hae Suk bought a flower named the trumpet vine to brighten up Nok Jun's mood. Her crippled husband loved the flowers but hated that she had wasted many years taking care of him instead of enjoying herself and her youth. He told her she was the most beautiful she had ever been, even more beautiful than when she was in her 20s and her 40s. Hae Suk was so happy and went to a church to pray that she and Nok Jun would reunite in heaven, and even if she did not enter, he should. Hae Suk was scared that Nok Jun would die soon and constantly checked if he was breathing and alive, and she mistakenly killed her beloved cat. One unfortunate day, Hae Suk got home and went straight to Nok Jun's room, but he was already dead. She didn't want to believe it and thought it was one of the pranks he played, but this was more serious than others. He was dead. She immediately stopped taking her medicine and prepared for her death. One day, Hae Suk planned a blind date for Young A and one of her handsome debtors, which made Young A very mad, and she scattered the handsome man's store when she found out that Hae Suk did it to forgive the debt that the young man owed her. Hae Suk told Young A that she was old and would soon die, so she wanted to make her ready to move on when she died, and she taught Young A the secret techniques for defending herself with an umbrella. Hae Suk finally died, and at her burial, a man in a black suit came to accompany her to the afterlife train. On the train, many people were praying through their different religions to save their souls. When they got to Hell Junction, everything was automated, as the person's body would go to hell by itself. It was scary, as many people went to hell. Hae Suk was scared, but fortunately, she didn't go to hell, as she was a good woman after she repented and asked God for forgiveness. When they got to heaven, there was a very long queue before the entrance, and they had to leave everything earthly at the checkpoint: money, pictures, gold, and every valuable property. At the Heaven's Gate, a firefighter was reluctant to keep his gas mask because he had wanted to save a little kid from a fire, but they had both died and reunited in heaven. When Hae Suk crossed the gate, she was interviewed and asked two major questions: who do you want to live with in heaven? And what age do you want to appear as? She chose Nok Jun, her earthly husband, and to remain 80 years old because of how her husband had told her she looked the best she had ever looked. The interviewer tried to convince her to get young, but she refused to change her mind. The interviewer gave her a device to read her real mind anytime she wanted to make decisions as an old woman. Hae Suk was sent to Nok Jun, who now lived in a beautiful, big, modern environment decorated with flowers. When she met Nok Jun, she found out he was young and very handsome. Meanwhile, Nok Jun was utterly surprised as to why anyone would choose to remain an old woman if given the opportunity to become younger and stronger. He immediately found immense joy in her presence and proudly showed her how strong his legs were in heaven, jumping and running until he was joyfully tired. He then presented the beautiful, spacious home he had lovingly prepared for her to live in with him. She was exhausted after the tour and needed to rest. Hae Suk was deeply upset with herself and refused to look in the mirror. She went to a peaceful park to cry because Nok Jun had forgotten his last heartfelt compliment to her. The old woman also refused to sleep in the same bed as Nok Jun, as they had slept in separate beds for over 40 years during their earthly lives. The next morning, they went to the Heavens Support Center, where Nok Jun worked and where Hae Suk would receive her orientation. Inside the building, they could see everything happening on Earth. During the informative orientation, the president of the Heaven Support Center clearly stated that people in heaven did not possess any special powers and could be injured if they made poor choices. He also explained that each person's strength was relative to the age they chose to appear as, and if they disobeyed instructions, they would be banished from heaven to hell. After the orientation, Nok Jun showed the old woman a clever trick to obtain delicious food and drinks by paying with the good deeds they had performed while on Earth. On the following day of orientation, Hae Suk noticed a friendly group of people who were also old like her and happily joined them for their special orientation. Unbeknownst to her, they were actually dogs. Suddenly, she saw a beautiful woman in a sleek black dress, who turned out to be her beloved cat. The cat sadly asked her why she had remained old and frail even in heaven. This revelation made Hae-suk very sad and angry at Nok-jun for not keeping his promise about her beauty. Nok-jun earnestly tried to find a solution and asked the Heaven Support Center to change her into a young person, but they firmly refused, stating that it was impossible to lower the chosen age, only to increase it. This news deeply saddened them both. On their way home, Nok-jun sincerely told Hae-suk how he had always been aware of the immense stress she endured while caring for him. He acknowledged how she had to be a strong and resilient woman for his sake and confessed that he had even